Off and running, Krug Show on a Thursday night. We're going to talk about the Niners draft with two guys who know an awful lot about it. That's right. Dieter's here. Hutch is here. We're going to get the Krug Show rolling. And we're, of course, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Fire up the band. Let's go. Off and running on a Thursday night, 9:43 West Coast, 43 minutes after midnight back east.
It's
a late one.
That's disgusting.
It's a late one.
Who's doing this out east?
It's a late one in the east. It's a mid-evening affair in Hawaii. In Hawaii, it's,
That I can appreciate. Those people got to figure it out.
They're having a drink, watching they just saw the sun go down. They're feeling pretty good. Maybe even just finishing up dinner, digesting their poi as we get this thing rolling.
Such a lovely dinner, baby.
Just unwinding.
You want to go watch Kruger with me?
We
Nice
just
way to
had
relax.
an amazing night in the Hawaiian Islands. We just had poi, which, by the way, sucks. I mean, I hate to say it, but poi is awful. Poi is just the worst.
Poi.
I'm sorry. I don't want to do a drive-by on poi, but come on. Poi? Really?
Pie.
I mean, if there's anything, don't take the road to Hana. Don't go to a luau. Don't eat poi. And then your Hawaiian vacation will be awesome. That's what I would say.
Isn't your dream to live in Hawaii, Larry? It sounds like you don't like Hawaii.
I wouldn't mind. The Big Island. Have you guys been to the Big Island?
I have.
The Big Island has a beach called Hapuna Beach that is so unbelievable. White sand beaches. I mean, seriously, yeah. If I could do the show from the Westin Hapuna Beach, you know what? I feel like that's where Penny needs to be. That's where my dog needs to run. I mean, right now she's stuck in Walnut Creek. I mean, you know what I mean? I feel like I owe my dog.
Chats in, folks, so that Larry can live at the.
Yeah. I want to live at the Westin Hapuna Beach.
The Westin.
Or at least send the dog there, and you can send checks so she can enjoy the beach.
Yeah, there are people like that treat their dog better than themselves. Like, when I was up in Tahoe, I saw there were ads in the the thing up there for dog daycares and dog spas. I mean, if I'm going to send anybody to a spa, it's gonna be me. If it's not gonna be me, it's gonna be my wife. And it's the last person that's gonna be is the
order
dog.
that you've thrown out there, Lair. So it's you first, then wife. That's interesting. Huh.
That's right.
Good luck with that in the divorce proceedings.
Yeah, he sent himself to a spa day.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No one's watching.
Peter, when you've been married for 25 years, you can go first to the spa. The first 20 years, she gets to go first to the spa. And then after a while,
she's locked in. She ain't going anywhere.
Anyway, we're off and rolling. And we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades. That's right, Claw Daddy Arcades. They got 3 locations in Southern California. They got a spot in Fresno, a spot in Modesto. They got a brand new arcade opening right here in the Bay Area. Claw Daddy Arcades is bringing family-friendly fun to communities across California. So he's a great follow on Instagram at claw_daddy_arcades to find a location near you. And we're also brought to you by LearnKey Upskill Academy. The show is sponsored by LearnKey Upskill Academy. And great news, if you're a Krug Show sub, our sponsor, LearnKey, is offering a free cybersecurity course. It's valued at $99. The course is titled Protecting Yourself and Your Organization. It's a 1-hour course and will give you essential tips to keep you and your company safe online. So limited time offer. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description of this video and claim your free course and start learning today at upskill.learnkey.com. And thanks to LearnKey and all of our sponsors for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. The links are in the description below. All right, this is our first time getting together since the draft concluded, but we'll just roll it right down. There's a lot of people that really like the Mikael Williams pick. There's a lot of people that really don't. To me, the people who really like it really like the the run D, the arm length, and think that there's some pass rush in there. The people, I'll say this, the people that don't like it are more in the category of, and I thought they were going to be more in the category of, they just wanted to see more sack production. But the thing that I heard, at least from Cole Kubelik this week, was that he kind of questions his athleticism to play the defensive end spot on all 4 downs, or at least on all 3 downs, I should say. Not really. Nobody's questioning the run D. I don't think anybody's questioning whether he'll get sacks. He was talking about just his overall athleticism. He thinks he's more of a 5 technique. Like right now, he's going to grow into like a 5 technique in a 3-4 instead of being a real, like, he doesn't really see him as a
weird critique.
Double digit.
Yeah. Hey, you know the thing that he's supposed
He's never
to
had more
do?
than 5 sacks, guys. He's never had more than 5 sacks. So the projection on the pass rush is the pass rush is got to be about traits, because it's not about sacks.
Well, absolutely on that. Listen, I think it's a fair criticism to wonder if he has the ability to turn into an elite pass rusher.
Totally.
Yeah.
He's not Abdul Carter, Mike Green. He's not any of those guys. But you know what he can do? Be on the field on 1st and 2nd downs. You know what the 49ers really need? Someone to be at defensive end opposite Nick Bosa. If you needed to replace Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams is probably not where you're going. If you need someone to play with Nick Bosa, you couldn't do better than Mykel Williams.
Yeah. I also think Williams' foundation is power. Like, when you ask any offensive lineman, like, there's a lot of, like Abdul Carter, there's speed and there's these ghost moves where you're using just speed and this little bit of technique, right?
A lot of karate.
Nice job, Dieter. Way to execute that. And I think that stuff is absolutely can work. But when your foundation isn't power, like, it's a little limiting as a player. Like, Mykel has the power as the foundation. I think he has pretty strong hands. He has a pretty decent swipe that needs to improve. He has a rip move. He can get through, and he can power you. So he is raw as a pass rusher. And will he be like a 20-sack player? I don't think that's necessarily how he's going to pan out. But he is 20 years old, and he has an incredible foundation. I think the idea that he's not an athlete is insane. Like, he is a stellar athlete. Maybe he wouldn't have had the same measurables as someone like Shamar Stewart, but he is a great athlete.
I think it's fair to question if he has elite level bend and if he has the kind of wiggle that people are looking for. But again, I feel like they're comparing apples and oranges.
Who's his comp? You got a comp on him?
Well, I said Willie McGinnis.
Okay. He was 255.
I mean, he played bigger. He at least measured bigger. But
yeah, I mean,
he also attacked people in a restaurant.
Well, that's the kind of energy
what do you want me to
to
say to that?
Sorry,
just saying.
Mykel hasn't attacked anyone.
This guy has never attacked anybody in a restaurant.
No.
Sorry, to be clear, is that a positive or a negative?
The comp that I think that I saw that I think I like the most on him is Michael Bennett. That's it. To me, he's more like a Michael Bennett, because he is. I think the thing I like most about him is that I do believe that you can put this guy all over the place, inside, outside, really everywhere. I mean, I think that's a great thing, because they like to line up guys all over the place and move them around. So I do think that's his real advantage. And as somebody said, Antonio Baker, he's 20, Larry. Yeah, we're talking about what he actually is. We're not talking about what we hope he becomes. I like to go. I'm more nervous. I've always think of it like, hey man, this guy's got to be good or I'm going to be fired. So I'm a little bit more nervous about guys that don't produce, because it's a little bit more of a projection. But that's really it. I mean, he's got a great body. He can play inside or outside. They like him as a guy. Georgia liked him as a guy. I mean, the one thing when you saw he was drafted, all those guys got up and were excited. I mean, if the guy wasn't a likable guy, to me, I think he's potentially a leader. So we'll see. It's just when I hear put on more weight and be a 5 technique, that makes me think that we're not going to see a lot of sack production.
Yeah, why would he?
Give me this.
I don't think anybody's
let's get into concrete. Let's get into concrete. Give me a sack number. Give me a sack number this year.
In year one,
that's going to be success.
5.
Yeah, in year one, I'll say 6 or 7.
Hold on. What did Leonard Floyd have last year?
8.5.
I mean, it might be aggressive for a rookie, but that feels like a fair over.
I also think there's going to be some rotation with Gross Matos and Samo and some of the defensive tackles are going to clean stuff up. But yeah, I would say I would guess.
So success is what?
I think having 8 or 9 sacks is success. Giving you what Leonard Floyd gave you last year.
Yeah,
8 or 9
personally,
sacks. Okay.
Personally, I think success for him is being a domineering edge setter for the 49ers in the run game, allowing Bosa to, if you double team him, Mikel's going to close the pocket, and maybe he's not going to get a sack every time, but he is going to get pressure, at least a third of the time when he's got one-on-ones. I think that's success. I think getting pressure and consistently closing the pocket more than – because sacks – listen, I'm not saying that sacks aren't a real stat, but there is some inconsistencies where you can create a ton of pressure and not necessarily convert. And some guys, just like Floyd, just get cleanup sacks.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more about, is he consistently generating pressure? Is he consistently setting the edge? And is he able to disengage and make run stops, especially when teams target Bosa?
Is he the player that you guys are most excited about in this Niner draft?
For sure. Number 2 would be CJ West.
I'm over the moon with the possibility of West and Williams being on the same team. Those were my 2 baby boys in this class.
So you're equal on West and Williams. To me, let's get into Collins, because I think Collins is so intriguing, and it's like
totally.
There's potential that Collins and West could be really, really exciting.
Yes.
I mean, the 49ers had Dana Stubblefield and Bryant Young. They've had, Dennis Brown, Ted Washington. They've had Kevin Fagan, Dennis, Michael Carter, going way, way back. They had the orange, the gold rush defense with Cleveland Elam and Cedric Hardman and Jimmy Webb and Tommy Hart way, way back when I was a kid. Floyd Peters coach. The Niners have had a lot of great defensive linemen. But, man, the more I look at this, I know West is just great. Like, West has got just the most violent hands of all time. And his lateral ability is just so crazy great. I mean,
yes,
for a guy that big to move that well laterally, it's just so awesome.
And he was destroying dudes at the Shrine Bowl. Really causing havoc.
So dominating at the Shrine. You're right. In Frisco, those practices were just ridiculous. And what's ridiculous, and the part that you go, oh, wow, look at that. It's all about these things. He's got these crazy hands. And he just, once he's got his hands on you, he pulls linemen, throws them away. He throws running backs down. He's really strong with his hands. Yep. So, and then unbelievably quick laterally, and he's 320 pounds, and the guy's kind of angry. CJ West is going to be fantastic, but Collins is really intriguing because Collins is 332 pounds. And if you just looked at him on the film, if I didn't tell you how much he weighed, you'd probably say 305, 300, maybe 285. He's very proportional. He doesn't look like a big fat guy. Nope. He looks like a freaking King Kong in shoulder pads at 330. I mean, how many people that ever that didn't look really kind of fat at 330? And this guy doesn't look fat at 330. I mean,
I know.
This guy's 330. He looks
that was one of my notes
like a guy who's like 290. Like,
he's
if I just
super well
saw a
balanced.
picture, I'd be like, oh, 290. But
no, he was built for this. I mean, honestly, he's somebody who it's somewhat surprising he's playing defensive tackle because somebody of this frame, like they get thrown on offensive line almost automatically, just on the basis of they don't make players who are 6'6", 330 pounds who carry weight like that. And not put them on offensive line. So the fact that he's on defensive line is a testament to how athletic and how good he is at it, because any coach worth his salt would have said, hey, you can make a whole lot more money just going the other way and stopping dudes that are less athletically gifted than you. You know, God just does not make 6'6", 330-pound men naturally, which is why I'm a complete waste of space.
Yeah, the upside with him is monumental. The downside is fairly steep too. Like there's a chance he's a whiff. Like I don't think that's how his career is going to go. But when you watch him, it's not quite the same because Kenneth Grant is shorter and stumpier, so has like naturally like his pad level is there's less room for him to lose that leverage battle. Alfred Collins and him both had the same sort of technique issues where at times Collins getting washed out. Like his strength is the run game, but I watched him at times getting totally washed out, would get too high, would have sloppy hand placement. And there were really bad inconsistencies where he's just like truly a non-factor in the play. And then there's other times he hits you, like when his hands hit you, it's like a bear, where he's literally like one hand rip throwing a guy to the ground like a child. So there's like massive upside and downside. I think his pass rush upside's being undersold, quite honestly. Like I think the athletic traits are a question mark there, but the pure power at that size and the length he has, especially to wrap up once he gets anywhere near the quarterback, like he has more pass rush upside than I think he's being given credit for.
If nothing else, he's going to markedly improve the 49ers run defense, not that it had anywhere to go but up, on the basis of he's so large. And Correct. That he's not a complete inherent liability in the run game. One, because he was wildly productive in the run game at Texas. And two, because yes, he has pad level issues as all 6'6" players on the interior typically have, but it's not a Javon Kinlaw like pad issue where he's never had good pad level ever. Like in the case of Collins, it does seem, and I haven't narrowed it down to where I want to say this definitively, but I have watched just enough to be. They played him so much at Texas, it looks like the pad level has something to do with him being tired. That's my guess right now. And you put him in an NFL rotation, specifically a Chris Kusarek rotation, to where he's staying relatively fresh. You know, no one's ever going to be fresh playing NFL snaps, but relatively fresh. And I think some of those pad level concerns can go away. And if that's the case, he has a chance to be an absolute monster. When we were doing grades, Jake and I both gave him a B, but like B is the appropriate letter. B for boom. B for bust. The bust possibility is in all players is there. When you're that big, the bust possibility is even greater. But the boom possibility is this guy's the second coming of Chris Jones, except he weighs 20 pounds more, so you can't even run at the guy. Like the chance for him to be the best defensive lineman in this draft is pretty high. The chance for him to be a nothing is not as high as the boom potential, but it is there, which is why he went in the second round.
Durability, I think, would be my big concern, just because anybody who's got those kind of long legs is potentially, and he did show up at at Texas's pro day in a walking boot,
and you don't want to worry about foot stuff with big guys. Once the feet
Bill
go,
Walton once told me, Bill Walton, big fella, when the feet go, they all go.
Yeah, I mean that's a concern. The other thing is, we're starting to get a theme here. It's like the Niners, a lot of people banged on the Niners. I think the biggest criticism, a lot of people said the Niners reached throughout this draft. Mikael Williams was taken at 11. PFF, I don't know what you think of PFF, but PFF had him at 38. Collins was taken at 43. PFF had him at 74. Right. Nick Martin was taken at 75. PFF had him at 309.
Yeah.
Upton Stout was taken at 100. PFF had him at 197. So, I mean, how do you, my whole thing is this. I look at it this way. It's hard when you're picking out of a group of people to find somebody from the outside world who can come in and make your football team. If you do find a guy who can make your football team, to me, I think that's really valuable. So if you can get a bunch of guys that make your football team off one draft, I think that's a really good draft.
Well, that's not an issue for the 49ers as it pertains to defensive line, seeing as they only had like two people in a folding chair for that position.
The bar was so incredibly low. I mean, you heard Kyle Shanahan basically describing the panic attack he was having that he didn't until day 2, where he's like, we had so many holes.
We didn't have enough football players.
Right. I criticize them because they do reach, and they did reach. I think,
insular.
yeah, it felt like with the Martin pick, I see the upside, right? But you are betting on an undersized linebacker who on tape, and it's not just the size. It is on tape. He doesn't have the longest arms, and I see him get cleared out at the second level in ways that are concerning. I saw Dylan Gabriel truck stick him. That's a worry for me. And I'm not saying he doesn't have speed, he doesn't have range, he doesn't have physicality. He's got a lot of things to like. There's a reason that like he was viewed by most as like a round 5 pick. I'd even be generous and say he's more like late round 4 value. But they took him at 75, which is double the value of their second round 4 pick. So they did reach. And it felt like they needed a Greenlaw replacement, so they went that route.
They also ended up in a situation where, I mean, they openly admitted to this. They said that we were targeting linebacker, and in this case, Martin, in the 3rd round. And this is something that they've fallen into time and time again. They're an extremely insular organization right now. Notice how every single one of their picks that they had over the past weekend were the exact picks that they entered the weekend with. They didn't trade up, down once. I don't even know if they were taking many calls in either direction, because the teams that I talk to say we don't hear from the 49ers on this stuff. They don't care about the external boards. They shouldn't, right? If they have their process, they have to go by their process. Ride and die by your scouts, ride and die by your models. But the idea that they've done this now in multiple drafts. Jake, what was the clearest example of them just locking in at a position and then taking a guy?
Yeah, I mean, they did that. They've done that a few times. Yeah, but Kinlaw's one.
I mean, Kinlaw, right? They traded Buckner. They got that pick. They were going to take a defensive tackle. They took Kinlaw. He wound up having a bad knee.
Yeah, they decide. And listen, before the draft, it was something that I don't think we pointed out enough. But Lynch went, some teams go best player available and said, we don't do that. We draft for need, which is not to say you shouldn't draft for need at all. Like, every team has to do that to an extent. But to say, like, you really don't kind of believe in best player available is kind of astounding to admit publicly. And I get it because they have so many needs. You could argue that anyone they drafted fit that, but it did feel like they get to round 3 and they go, okay, we got to go get a linebacker. We got to go get a corner here.
Well, they did this in 2021, right? They need a quarterback. Here's Trey Lance. We're going to take the 3rd one. Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas. Both of those guys were sort of at the tail end of a run on the position. And the Niners get a little bit scared about this stuff. So linebackers go earlier than I think they expected them to go. The 2 guys, Schweginger and Demetrius Knight, clearly went earlier than people thought, right? The consensus idea, and certainly the people that I had talked to, those guys went earlier than they expected them to go. But they said 3rd round, we got to get a linebacker. We don't have a linebacker. We got to get a linebacker. And the 3rd guy on their board was Nick Martin. And it doesn't matter if you could probably trade down 30 picks at the minimum and still get Nick Martin. They are like, no, we're going to take Nick Martin now because that's our pick and we don't want to trade. And they don't view the picks. And if the player works, it doesn't matter. If the player doesn't work, it's now a double whammy in that they don't value the draft capital and use it sometimes to their advantage of, okay, we missed out on a couple of guys. Now we can trade down, maybe get something for next year, get a little more value in this one, maybe move up with something later on because now we have a little bit more ammunition. They don't play that game. They don't do what Howie Roseman does. They don't do what the Chiefs do, where they're always playing that game. They'll move 1 or 2 spots just because. They stay in their own little bubble. They don't talk to outside teams. They don't get a read of the room. They consistently misread the market. I've heard that from people ever since 21 and the disastrous Trey Lance deal. They are just like, we are all in on ourselves and nothing else. And it worked out in 2024 and it might work out here. But when you go at 75 with Martin, like it's you could have gone to 100. You could have gone to 13. He would have still been there.
And that's my thing.
The bigger example of that is their desire to trade up for Mikael Williams. I mean, PFF had him way lower.
PFF
and a lot of people had him a lot of people had him way lower, and they took him at 11.
Not people in the league,
and that a lot of people think that's a reach.
Not people.
The guy. I'll just say this: the guy who knows more about him than any of us is Cole Kubelik from the SEC Network, and he's like, man, I don't see it. I don't see that at 11. And
He's
his whole point was the production wasn't there. They wanted to give him opportunities to be that guy.
We've had this conversation so many times, Larry, and we're telling you what we saw on tape consistently. And I understand that's that opinion, whatever. Like we've told you, like
whatever. That's the SEC football analyst. I'm just saying,
right. But also, everyone in the league, valued him as like a top 10 player for the most part. The league was way higher than him on people outside.
I can give you 2 teams that were in the top 10 that said we are. If this guy's not here, we'll take him. I can tell you 2 teams flat out that were ready, that viewed him as top 10. I can tell you teams that were below the 49ers who absolutely thought that he wouldn't be there for the 49ers. So they were calling the 49ers to see if they could move up to 11 so that they could get into position to get their guy, because they figured that the Niners were all in on Michael and that the Niners want to move down because they've had Nolan second on the list, which they did. And that way, hey, maybe we can make something happen. Arizona. So it is, and the Colts at 14. If we just want to give away names because it's late and I don't have any filter right now. So, like, both of those teams viewed Mikel Williams as a much better than 11, to the point where they were operating as if he wouldn't be there for the 49ers at 11. The 49ers were operating as if he wouldn't be there at 11. And there were 2 teams above the 49ers that said, hey, if it didn't work out exactly as it worked out, we would have taken Mikel in the top 10. But no, he wasn't viewed as a top 10 pick. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I like Cole Kubiak a lot. I really do. But
he's the SEC football analyst. He knows these guys. He watches them more than us.
He needs to get some NFL sources. That's what he needs.
He watches them.
Larry,
he needs to get some NFL sources.
He played college football, dude. He played
Larry,
college football.
I understand, but that
I'm just saying, we'll agree to disagree. But I'm just saying, the Niners reach with Mikel. They reach with
They did
Colin.
not.
It's
they
fundamentally
reach with Martin. You guys don't like Martin. You think Williams is really good. I think Martin's really good, and I'm worried that Mikel Williams is going to be a really good run defender and run defender only. That's
Larry,
all.
First of all, run defense travels immediately.
Very, very good.
They didn't reach with Mikel. That's my opinion. Your opinion.
PFF says they did. PFF says
okay, we disagree with PFF. Whatever. My point is, in the third round, they have a track record.
Kubiak. I mean, why even bother? Why even bother having an opinion?
Well, I'm just saying we could find other people as well, but I'm just saying that not everybody had him at 11. Shanahan's wife
was much higher than him.
The mock that she saw him at 28. So
yeah, well,
I mean, I'm just saying that.
By the way, I reverse engineered
it was the only one.
Shanahan's wife should not watch or should not go on walterfootball.com. In fact, none of you should, because it's a horrible website.
My point is just simple. You guys really love Mikel Williams. I have reservations. I really love Nick Martin. You guys don't love Nick Martin.
Correct.
Let's get to Upton Stout. Where are you guys on Stout?
So Stout, here's the thing. Like, as Stout as a player, I really like him. Again, they are betting on undersized guys, which can work out. And as a slot corner, it can work out more than any other position because these are smaller guys. But at 100, which is, again, another top 100 pick, you have arguably one of the best slot corners in the league, and you're saying it's not so much Stout, right? It's the fact that they had Diamo Lenore, who they signed to a contract, and they're getting a steal by him playing inside and out, and all of a sudden they go, all right, well, we actually don't want him to play nickel anymore. We're going to bring Stout in. And it's not to say that like Stout's a bad player or that putting him at nickel and Lenore on the outside is like a horrible idea. I do think that's like fairly heavy value to draft a nickel who is a size outlier. Again, I like the tape. I think he could be a really good player, but when you already have a guy who can do both and you're just saying, let's limit what we already have, I question that process. And I question them more in the third round because outside of Fred Warner and outside of Dom Pooney last year, they whiff every goddamn time and they overvalue how they assess players every time.
There were bigger corners all over the place there. He went third round. Quincy Riley went. Mac Williams went after that. Zoff Frazier went after that. Denzel Burke went after that. Dorian Strong went after that. Bilal Kone went after that. All those guys, bigger bodied corners. Are you saying that they should have gone with one of those guys?
McWilliams and Kone are both slot guys, to be fair.
I would also say that at 75, I think they probably should have just gone with Jacob Parrish, who could do both, who's a guy that they could do both. And then you could take Nick Martin at 100, which I just think would have been a better a better approach to it. Again, my process, my idea of how it should have worked. And if these players work out, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to criticize them because this is how I see them overvaluing their prospects, especially in the third round, year after year after year. And they got it right with Pooney last year. But for the most part, they have been bitten badly in the third round.
It also just looks hilarious because this team clearly needed offensive line help. We understand that they don't value offensive linemen because the way that the market treats offensive linemen is they'll always overdraft them because they're afraid that they won't get them. So they always get a little bit antsy and they're always taken around before they probably should be. Well, the 49ers also hold the standards of offensive line grading so high that it will never line up with the market. But it is interesting, and Matt Barrows had this theory, and it's hard to say that it's incorrect, that the Niners got completely flummoxed by the fact that the Raiders went Rodgers and Grant, 2 offensive linemen, the 2 picks before Upton Stout, which is very similar to Roger Rosengarten going just before the 49ers did last year, where they sometimes get their eyes on a guy on the offensive line and it all lines up just perfectly to where the
so particular.
They're so particular, and then that guy's not there, and they go, oh, what should we do? I mean, Jed almost admitted to this, being like, let's do something different. Oh, here's Saleh, and they just sort of default to, and this is another issue that I have with their draft, what are the coaches like? Who do the coaches like? Well, the coaches don't give a flying about draft value. They just want to get their guy because they don't know if they'll ever get a chance to take another guy, not because of job security, but because they don't know when someone's going to ask them their opinion, right? And say, who do you want? Well, apparently they just kept asking opinions on the coaches. And because John Lynch is not a strong GM when it comes to structure in the house, because their scouting department is suspect at best, now they have a lot of coaches' opinions. And by the way, the coaches have had nothing but time to write up reports on all of these players. In past years, the Niners are playing for NFC championships and Super Bowl. You're asking me to do a report on 40 dudes at my position? Get the hell up out of here. I'll give you 4. This year, I'll give you 80. I got nothing but time on my hands. We're not signing anybody in free agency. What else do I have to do? And so you have these guys and their little pet projects, and like Jake and I both, oh, well, we love a CJ West, or we love these guys. And then they ask and they go, hey, Robert, who do you want? And he goes, oh, I love Upton Stout. I guess we'll take him instead of getting on the goddamn phone and trading down because the guys that you wanted at pick 100 weren't there, or the guy that you wanted to be more specifically wasn't there, which is Charles Grant. And instead of doing that, you just take the next guy, and the next guy is just whomever Robert wants at that point. Their whole process is so scattershot. It's ridiculous. And you know what? I'll give it to you, Larry. If you think that I know for a fact that Mykel Williams was not overrated on their board, but honestly, it lines up with everything else that they did. They don't take into account the draft capital as something that they can manipulate. They're too afraid that they won't end up getting the guy that they really want because they laser focus in on one player for one round. And then the second, to quote John Lynch, a draft breaks out, they totally panic. This is not a wartime consigliere running the show here. And this Upton Stout pick, would he have been there at 113? Probably. Would he have been there later on? Probably. Who was chasing you to get Upton Stout? Who was chasing you to get Nick Martin? And I can appreciate you want to take guys that you're convicted about, #conviction, but like, this is not how the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Seahawks, this is not how they go about their business. If you want to get a guy so bad, you can trade up to get him. But otherwise, let the draft come to you and give yourself some optionality. It feels like they work themselves into a corner again and again and again in this draft.
Do you feel like Lynch mismanaged this draft?
Yes.
And you feel like that he's the decision maker. He's the guy. These are his picks, and ultimately he's winning arguments and saying, no, scouts, I'll take Marquise Siegel here. Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe. I in fact believe the opposite. I believe that he's too collaborative and that there are too many voices in the room.
They said they want to build consensus.
That's great. You know what's really hard to get? Consensus when you have 5 minutes. We can't get consensus. We talk every week. And we have no stakes on the line. Like 5 minutes, the thing that we just expect, we had this perfect plan where everyone was in alignment. Guess what? Shit's going to happen. It's the NFL draft. Now you got 5 minutes. So what's your process then? And their process seemed to be, I don't know, ask Robert, or who do you like? They would just point to somebody in the room. That's a guess. I can't say that definitively, but these picks come across very much like, I don't know, who do you like? We had a plan. We're not going according to plan. And heaven forbid I get on the phone and get out of this predicament. These are the kind of GMs, by the way, that Howie Roseman eats alive. So I can understand why they don't pick up the phone at 49-49. Howie Roseman can sense this fear, and he calls teams. This is the thing. He calls teams seconds before a pick has to be made and gives them a low ball offer to take their pick because he's got an idea for what he would do with that spot. And he'll just say, oh, I can take this stress off of your shoulders. And you've seen the Jaguars and the Titans and the Raiders give it to him because they just don't want the pressure of the moment on them. And that's why those teams pick high every year. I just look at this situation and you just go, it's bad. I don't care about the PFF rankings or whatever. No one at pick 100 was ready for the name Upton Stout to be uttered. No one at ESPN, no one at the NFL league office. The amount of texts that I got being like, what are they doing is ridiculous at both 75 and 100. So do I think he mismanaged it? Absolutely. Because a team with a strong GM, they can handle the punches that come. But a team that's with a GM that's making sure that everyone feels A-okay and everyone feels good about this, that's not the guy I want when bullets are flying. And I apologize for the analogy, but that's what was happening here. And it looks like the Niners panicked with a couple of picks.
Time will tell on this. My first thought was I really, really like CJ West. I really like Nick Martin because Nick Martin's fast and strong and productive. I really like the Upton Stout pick just because I like that mentality of that kid, and I like the athleticism. And I like the Jordan Watkins pick because I liked the fact that you're marrying production and real speed. And the guy did it in the SEC, and I liked him a long time ago. Now, as far as Collins, little concerned about the body and health. And then the day 3 guys, I mean, I thought this was an awesome running back draft. I don't know. Jordan James wasn't on my list of awesome backs.
He's fine. And they had DJ Giddens right there. If Giddens was off the
DJ Giddens
board,
went 2 picks later, I would have gone just based on what I saw, I would have gone DJ Giddens.
The upside is so much higher there. And listen, I understand Jordan James has he's a well-rounded player, but it's again, the value question there is it feels way off for me.
It seems like they wanted a guy who didn't fumble. This guy never fumbled. I mean, that's what they lost in Elijah Mitchell. They lost that back who was never going to fumble. And I just think that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the fourth quarter finisher back who's never going to fumble, and that's this guy.
I mean, I couldn't agree more, Larry. Jake and I have been arguing about who
No. I'm not arguing that they're not trying to replace Elijah Mitchell. My point is that I don't think he runs and moves and operates in the same way that Elijah Mitchell does.
No, I don't either. I don't think he looks like Elijah Mitchell.
But he's an undersized back that typically runs into tight gaps. That's their Elijah Mitchell archetype.
Right. He's an undersized physical back, which is sort of a weird.
So he'll give you a good year and a half and then die. I mean, if you wanted someone who has the physical nature, that fourth quarter finish, go get Devin Neal or Ali Gordon in the next round. Go get Martinez, the kid from Miami. Go get somebody who's actually that kind of back, as opposed to the sort of theory of that kind of back.
Well, I mean, Taj Brooks can run with power.
Totally.
I agree.
They went with, I mean, I kind of like Kiner more, to be honest, because I think Kiner looks like he has better. First of all, Kiner was better. Okay. Kiner was better. If you back away and look at these guys as high school prospects, Kiner was way better.
And we're going to high school or college.
Kiner was Jag now.
Kiner was Mr. Ohio and then went to LSU. I just think that Kiner's.
What happened?
Well, I mean, he wanted to play at home because his mom and dad were the only people who could watch him play. So he went back to Cincinnati, and he was great for Cincinnati. He was a 2-time captain. He had amazing stats. His stats are almost as good as anybody if you look at the contact balance.
Yeah, but the tape's pretty underwhelming.
Well, I mean, guy's got great contact balance, and the guy was productive at Cincinnati.
He's strong. He can bounce off tackles. That's mostly it. It's a little bit like Caleb Johnson, where it's straight line, and he can take a shot, but there's not much. There's really no elusive qualities to him at all.
I'm not the biggest fan of him.
To me, they're the same size and same height, same weight, everything. But Jordan James, Jordan James to me looks like a guy. I think his head coach said it right. When he said he runs kind of pissed off. He has that kind of pissed off look to him. I just wonder about the durability of Jordan James, and then Kiner. I just think Kiner's going to wind up being. He to me looks a little bit more explosive. He looks like he's a little bit more explosive than Jordan James. I don't know. They have similar traits and similar times and everything.
I don't think either of them are particularly explosive. I think James is a guy who is a great first cut, and that buys him space. And he's a guy that might look faster at times because he's got short little legs and he's just taken so many steps. But he does buy himself time. He's got a little bit of ability to hesitate and then go.
Good vision.
Yeah, he's pretty well-rounded, but he's like, there's not much upside to me at all. I think he's going to be fine. He's like, and maybe they just went with a guy where they're like, well, we know he's high floor. He's just going to be able to operate. If we lose McCaffrey, he's going to do the right thing. And I get that, but it's meh to me.
In this draft, to go with James there is so uninspiring. And again, it's them falling in love with this archetype of the 2019 or 2022 49ers. Like, how do we get back to it? How do we get back? We got to get Robert Saleh back, and we'll just reverse the clock, and everything will be the way that it was. We're going to get our Dre Greenlaw replacement, and now we're going to get our, here's going to be our Ray McCloud replacement, and this guy's going to be our Elijah Mitchell replacement. And everything's going to be fine.
That was one of my bigger criticisms, is that it felt like we got to get, they have been obsessive about Dre Greenlaw. There's
move on. He broke up with
they literally, he signed the contract. They flew out after him. He's injured, and then it comes out on this side of it as opposed to Denver, which do with that what you will. And then through the draft, they're like, we got to get a Greenlaw replacement. And then with Stout, it's like, let's go get a guy that's like K'Wan Williams, right? Let's go get a K'Wan replacement. And it feels a little bit like, remember that guy? Let's go get a next version of him, while they're simultaneously talking about evolving and taking this thing into the next era. And there's a little bit of dissonance with that for me.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so the other pick, I'm going with Siegel. I mean, I know he ran the 4.37, and you need a safety. There weren't a lot of great safeties there at this point. This is another example of, one of these, instead of playing the draft as it comes to you, you're trying to, fill holes. And it's like Marquise Siegel. I don't know about that one. I mean, it's like, yeah, he ran 4.37, but you way overdrafted him if you look at where he was ranked. I don't know. I mean, to me, that one's really iffy. And then I liked Connor Colby because, I think Connor Colby has some interesting traits. I know he's not overwhelming as a, when you watch him, but this guy's made a ton of starts, and he's not very old, and he's in a great system. I think the odds of him being one of their best linemen this year is probably pretty good, considering all he's got to do is beat out Ben Barch and what they got. I don't think tons of Connor Colby or Drew Moss, but based on what I've read, they probably have a shot to start at left guard. Rourke didn't get that at all. Bergen didn't get that at all. I mean,
well, that's them literally being like,
Siegel,
I don't know who
Rourke,
should we take.
And
who's
Bergen were
who's
really
the new special teams coach. Who do you want?
You could have gotten offensive linemen. You could have gotten
Siegel,
another
Siegel's
running back,
also
Montrell Johnson. I mean, there was
with Siegel, it's also there's plenty of safeties. I get what they're looking at, right? There's a ton of speed. By the way, safety is one of those positions you actually don't necessarily need to be the greatest athlete of all time. For example, a guy like Maxon Hook out of Toledo, who I really liked, he went undrafted. I thought he was very draftable. You could have gotten him undrafted again. And they said they need safety. This is the guy on our board. This is where he's ranked. Let's take him, which it'll work out or it won't. And awesome. Then I understand Rourke. I have no problem with Rourke. I think taking a quarterback in round 7 every year is a pretty good way to do business. I don't think much of Colby at all. I was really, really underwhelmed by the tape, and I kind of prefer Moss's tape by far in terms of just the guy out on the field.
Yeah.
And then, ending it with Bergen is whatever. Take a punt return. I don't care. It's pick 255.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, the special teams coach was yelling and screaming about Bergen. It's like, I've never seen an organization that listens more to their special teams coach.
Collaborative, Larry. It's called collaboration. Maybe we could do more.
Collaboration is good. I understand that because you do have analytics people, research and development people. There's a lot of different ways to cross compare the players, and a lot of it's advantageous. So I'm all for that, all for collaborative. But you know what? It's like, why are you? It's like drafting a special teams player. This guy better be a special teams star.
Yep.
Or what are you doing? Because you're telling me that of all the prospects in the draft, there's not one prospect of all of the undrafted players, which included Chandler Martin, Eugene Asante, all kinds of guys that could really, really play.
Yes, sir.
And you don't take any of those guys. I don't know. It's just it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Going back to Sigel at 160, he's a 23-year-old safety whose most impressive part of his tape was that he ran into the frame really fast once the play was over. Like, it was like hard to find plays that he made.
Like, watching 2 full games, he's pretty uninvolved.
You spend a good deal of time being like, which one is he? We watched a lot of Kansas State film because we were both big Jacob Parrish fans. We watched a lot of those. Like, Marquise Sigel was only brought up loosely as an undrafted free agent type because of his athletic testing numbers. And like, I can see, and a lot of people think he's a nickel, which you already have an Upton Stout. So maybe you took 2 nickels. Great job, everybody.
And one position that was.
Or he's a box safety, but he doesn't show the tackling ability of a box safety. Maybe he plays free, but I don't see the vision. I don't know. We're going to have to find out in real time. I can't tell you if it's a good pick or not. I don't really care.
The whole thing feels like, they're getting beef up front, which they obviously need. And then they're getting small guys in the back end and using those guys to protect them. To me, like, if you need a guy at 75 and like Nick Martin to be protected at the second level, he's not worth pick 75. Dude, like, that's as simple as it is.
And this is where I'm coming from here. 160 Marcus Sigel. 161 is Smile Mondon to the Eagles.
Right.
165 is Aronde Gadsden, tight end for Syracuse. Best hands at the tight end position. 166 was Torrey Horton to Seattle. And then 167 is Jackson Slater. 168 is Drew Kendall. These are all guys that we talked about ad nauseum on our channel, Jake. These are all guys that we liked more than Marquise Sigel. But, the Big 12 network was able to find 4 good plays.
I mean, here he is on the film. I'm trying to show him. So, because not a lot of us have seen him. 5'11", 200 pounds. He did run in the 4.3s. Lynch knows safety play. It's not like he doesn't know what a good safety.
Yeah, but he's also rarely calling a shot, because if he did, he would have drafted Dan Jackson in the 3rd round because he'd see himself in him.
I mean, Dan Jackson went after this guy. Dan Jackson ran 4.4.
Right.
Dan Jackson's a markedly better player. Like, we've watched a lot of
He's probably
Kansas
not
State
as good an athlete. This guy's a better athlete.
Unquestionably. This guy's an unbelievable athlete. And Jake and I had this conversation on the show. Like, a lot of the guys that the 49ers took, you watch their all 22, which I think is far more informative than any highlight film. We're not watching all 22 here. Like, I understand the time and the place, but like, you watch the All-22 and you're underwhelmed by their impact on a football game, which is something that you would want to be whelmed by if we're talking about someone who's draftable. But every single one of them, you're like, man, you know what? This guy would be a really good special teams player. Like, pick 75 on. You're like, man, they got some dudes who can play some special teams. This team is filled with George Odoms now.
Do you guys like Drew Moss?
I do like Drew Moss. Yeah. I think he's got a funny sort of build where he's like so stout in his upper half. The first note we both had on Drew Moss is like, oh, this guy is not a tackle, not even a little bit.
You have to bump him inside immediately.
But he's got quick feet. He's really, really, he does the thing, he finishes. Like, he's mean. He's a road grader who like wants to put you in the dirt. Is there like a lack of technique where he's just trying to use that strength and ability over actually, knowing the craft of the position? Sure. But I do think like I wouldn't be surprised if he made the roster over Colby. So
there's a lot of Pooney in Moss. There's a lot of Pooney in Moss.
Here's a little video of him right here. Let's see what he looks like.
Yeah, I was watching the Lamar film, which he was a tackle
right
at Lamar.
Guard. Okay, gets to the second level.
He's fluid. I think that was the word you used, Jake. Killed. I mean, this is against Texas too. Like, don't.
Yeah, but look at that first step off the line is pretty impressive.
And that's Alfred Collins getting absolutely, okey doked. Isn't that your man Vernon Broughton, Jake? Just getting wrecked right there?
No, that's Broughton's 45.
Oh, apologies. Sorry.
They also rotated a white guy, number 15, in there pretty consistently.
Oh, goddamn! What a tackle!
Yeah, that was the clip I was talking about.
I love Makuba. Listen, for an undrafted free agent, I mean, pretty good pickup. Especially at a position, I think we're underrating Ben Barch a little bit. I think we're underrating Burford a little bit. But like, it's not to say that anybody's above competition at that spot. And
it should be wide open. I mean, they should really go into camp and say, we're actually going to split the reps totally evenly and just see what happens. They won't, but they should.
Moss had a 92.3 run blocking grade.
Yeah.
81.3 pass blocking grade on 866 snaps. 438 pass blocking snaps. He allowed 1 sack.
You let him move forward, and he's going to give you something. Maybe a holding penalty, but something. The anchor was a little bit concerning, but that's the trade-off. If he had great anchor and that kind of mobility in the run game, you're not getting him as an undrafted free agent. Like, that guy doesn't fall through the cracks. So you kind of have to pick one or the other, and the Niners have made it very clear that they're going to pick the run game ability over anchor 10 times out of 10.
Real quick, somebody's asking what I don't like about Connor Colby. It's almost everything on tape. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not even trying to be harsh. I wanted to like him, right? Because you look him up on RS, you go, oh, he's got incredible traits. And then you watch it and you're like, this guy is getting demolished at times. He's great out in space and getting to the second level, but like, he has a really weak anchor. I literally said in my notes, can opener hips. Like, he allows access to his inside and turns those hips way too often.
Yeah,
he's just not, for his size, a guy that's like actually creating displacement consistently, and he's getting displaced at times. There's just not like force at the point of attack. And again, could it work out? Yeah, the traits are there. Like, maybe he needs coaching, but Iowa's like a pretty good offensive line school, and I was unimpressed.
They run a lot of inside zone at Iowa. And if he is attacking middle linebackers, he can put up some real highlights. But the second he's going up against defensive tackles, he gets spun a lot. I mean, he really does get spun a lot. That's him at his best. Duo block up the middle, can jump off, and that was a defense. That was an NFL defense. That was Phillips, I think. He loves that.
He's moving pretty good right there.
He moves great.
I've never said anything about his movement. His movement's fantastic. That's the best thing about him.
But again, this is what I'm talking about with inside zone.
This guy's made 60 starts. You got to remember this. He made 60 starts in the Big Ten on a really well-coached team. Now he's got to beat out Ben Barch, who's played 7 plays in 5 years. I mean, the odds are he's probably going to be.
Yeah, but like, do you see him actually one-on-one driving anyone here? These are combination blocks.
Like, he got a nice little turn right there.
I'm not saying that wasn't, but I'm saying I rarely see him driving people downfield. There's a real lack of drive and lower half displacement.
The problem that you're going to run into here is that you're rarely going to see Iowa try this thing called the forward pass. So it's very difficult to find out.
And he gets off the ball super quick. I love it. Like, I could see it working out. I'm telling you what I saw on tape.
But all he has is that angle. I mean, when you watch the tape, all he's got is that angle. If he doesn't have that angle where he can get with his right shoulder and drive through, it really it really creates problems. He has to go left. They ran the same fucking play 80% of the time, inside zone. Like they just ran the same play again and again and again. So also, I will take some umbrage on the notion that it's a well-coached team. Like, I ask any Iowa fan if they think Kirk Ferentz is doing a great job in the year of our Lord 2025, and I think you'll get a different answer.
Well, no, I think they're a well-coached team. I mean, a well-coached team, look at their players. I mean, do you think George Kittle's a smart player? I always felt like Iowa's offensive linemen were really well-coached. I mean, I didn't think they were always the most talented guys. I mean, and I don't see any guys on their offense at all, really, to be honest.
That running back go 85th.
Yeah, I didn't like their running back. I thought their running back was really overrated. But
I agree.
He's not good.
So, by the way, the offensive line coach for Iowa has been there for 5 years, and that's 5 years they haven't. That's when Wirfs was gone. That's it's running on a reputation of early Ferentz hires, but this current guy George Barnett, it has not been churning out the beef the way that they used to at Iowa.
Well, it's just one of the best coaches in college football is Kirk Ferentz. I mean, there's no question.
I think Kirk Ferentz is coaching his final year of college football. That's a little prediction for you.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. What do you guys think of Jacob Robinson, the corner from BYU?
He's fun.
He was our favorite undrafted free agent. Listen, like he might be more of like a free safety. There's some questions about like, once people get contact with him, does he have the size and the strength to hold up? But my God, if he sees a screen and has like a little, he's going to destroy that screen. He triggers downhill like a bat out of hell. He's incredibly fun. I think he's got good feel and zone coverage. He's got a really nice back pedal. He triggers to the ball. They want to talk about all gas, no brake. He's like the living incarnation of that. He was my favorite of their 6 undrafted free agents.
There's a lot of Lenore in him, which feels like such an lame comp, but there really is a lot of Lenore in him. I wouldn't play him on the interior, though. I wouldn't play him at nickel. I think he's probably too small, and I don't love the hips to play outside. I really do wonder if he could be a free safety because he clearly has the vision and the tenacity to commit to a line of action, which feels vitally necessary if you're going to be playing center field. I wouldn't be shocked. I know the Niners, try guys at a bunch of different spots, particularly their depth dudes. They did it with Renardo Green last year. Oh, we'll play him on the inside. We'll play him a free safety, as if it's also easy.
Maybe this guy who's incredible at outside corner. Yeah, let's play him at every other position.
No, but he's 170 pounds, Teeter. He's not playing safety.
I mean,
170 pound safety.
No, you're right.
Come on. I mean, this guy's got a big brother or something.
I want him in. That's what his skill, and this is probably why he's undrafted. His skill set seems mostly suited for seeing, diagnosing, and attacking.
He's 181. He's 181, Larry.
It's still a little light.
I don't know about that. Some places I've seen list him at 160 something.
He's 5'10" and a quarter, 181 as he measured at the.
I'll say
combine.
this, Jake, I love you, buddy, but I'm going to agree with Larry on the principle of that boy looks scrawny.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just saying what the numbers are. He plays small. I have the same concerns about him actually playing safety.
But I think that might be the one spot that he could actually do it. And I agree with you, Larry. I don't think he's big enough to actually do it.
What do you guys think as far as who's the big winner and loser from this on the roster in your mind, this draft?
D. Winters
is the big winner. Who's the big winner? Who's the big loser here for the Niners?
You think D. Winters is a big winner? Yeah, I mean, I guess because it's not the stiffest competition.
They brought in one dude.
Ben Barch, also a winner, because not that. Yeah,
all 3 of the trays at outside corner are big
Jake
winners.
Brendel's a big winner for sure.
Trent Williams probably renegotiate his contract.
I thought Mason Klein was a big winner just from the standpoint they didn't get anybody. I mean, they got nothing at tight end. I mean, that guy's easily their 3rd best tight end right now. George Kittle, Luke Farrell, and you've got Tongus, Braden Willis, and Mason Klein.
Tongus is better than him for sure.
They're gonna. Oh, no way. Pline's way better than Tongus or Braden Willis.
So that seems like an issue.
But he's 6'8". He's 6'8". And
so am I. That doesn't mean
training camp. He didn't do anything.
I mean, Tongus. Come on. Tongus didn't do anything either. Let's be honest.
No one's arguing that Tongus did anything.
He was actually great in training camp and then did nothing because they went, we're not actually going to play.
Mitts. No,
I'm just saying
they've
given Willis a shot. They've given Tongas a shot.
Yeah,
this is probably going to be.
I'm not high on any of their tight ends not named Kittle. They're all bad.
Yeah, Luke Farrell got paid a lot of money because they're bad at this.
That's why I just wrote about why they have to extend George Kittle because they're the worst. They've been worse at replacing tight end, at finding any other options at any other position. They have been honestly hilariously bad at it.
And let's be honest about how they got George Kittle. I mean, they basically 5th round. Kittle was a darling.
CJ Beathard.
They're watching CJ Beathard and they're like, oh, this guy's got a little something. In 5th round, they're like, yeah, why not? He's got these crazy athletic scores. Let's go for it because we got nothing to lose because we suck as an organization. And it worked out. It's the biggest hit they ever had. They had a lot of the same energy with Fred Warner. They're like, oh, I think he could be a good outside linebacker. What do we have to lose? We got nothing. We suck. And then he turns out to be the best middle linebacker in football. I guess to their credit, they're still throwing caution to the wind. Never lose that childhood joy, huh?
I would say Mordecai's a big winner, just simply because they've got a 4th quarterback, so they're not going to bring in another quarterback.
Yeah, they're
going to wrench. They got a 4th quarterback, but he can't play, and he's probably not going to play for the whole year. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, if I'm Mordecai, I just probably got another year. Just because that 4th quarter, they're not going to bring in a 5th quarterback. I guess they are going to bring in a 5th quarterback from
they might have to
Wake Forest. But I would say if I'm Tanner Mordecai, I got to feel pretty good about getting a roster spot, knowing that now that Rourke is going to be on the IR for the year.
Spot. There's no way.
I think Garendo's a major loser. I mean, 3 weeks ago, people are talking about Garendo as RB2, and now they're not. I mean, they probably won't.
I think I don't know. I think a lot of that's injury concerns. I mean, I think if he's healthy, he is. The upside with him is monumental.
The analytics on him are horrible, absolutely horrible. I mean, you can go look him up, but they're really bad. I mean,
about performance or injury?
As far as his performance. I mean, he doesn't hit the right hole. I saw 3 or 4 stats last week on him that show that he's one of the worst.
Started off
in the league.
terribly, and I think towards the end before he got hurt again, he started to figure it out a little bit.
He's so physically gifted, it kind of doesn't matter. If he was really good at actually being a running back, it'd be over. He'd be the best, but he's actually terrible.
That's why he was available where he was,
Yeah. If nothing else, he still has his gadget role.
We'll see. To me, Garendo's big, strong, fast, and he can really catch. So they got to figure out a way to get him on the field. Yeah. But as far as, I think now with 2 other backs that have better instincts, he's probably a ways away from playing. As far as on the defensive side, I think Kalia Davis is a major loser here. I mean, You're only going with 5 defensive tackles. Right now, you have CJ West, Alfred Collins, Jordan Elliott, who love him, hate him, whatever. He's in front of Kalia Davis, Kevin Givens, and you got Evan Anderson. And who knows about this Sebastian Valdez? I'm just saying right there, Kalia Davis is the 6th defensive tackle on a team that's planning on taking 5. So we'll see. There's always injuries. But
it's the first time in a while that they have competition there.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's a guy that easily
they forgot Kalia Davis existed.
Well, I just don't think they want to lean on him because of the injuries he's had. Well, I mean, Tim
Drake
Ryan.
Jackson, anyone?
Well, Tim Ryan believes that Kalia's injuries are related to the fact that he didn't have big calves, so that that
what a
he's somehow
weird thing to say.
Well, he just thinks that he doesn't have the durability to stand as a defensive tackle. I mean, he played. This guy played the position.
I can, what? Credit to Tim Ryan for getting some really nuanced takeaway on Kalia Davis. I would have just said he's not very good. So Tim Ryan's better at this than I am.
Is that?
Well, no,
can we get it?
Sure. He's had some moments that are amazing. I mean, he's had some highlights where you're like, "Whoa, look at that guy." The movement ability for Kalia Davis is absolutely spectacular, but
you get to
can't stay on the field. I mean, if you can't make the club in the tub. If you can't play, you can't play.
I thought it was about the powerhouse, but I guess we're talking Cavs. I guess who knew?
Well, the Cavs. I think are going to have a really interesting series with the Pacers.
I mean, I'll say this: go look at Evan Anderson. Evan Anderson is like rooted to the ground like something you'd see in Muir Woods. You know, he has absolutely he's just rooted. He's got such thick legs and he's not going anywhere. Kalia Davis
is indeed thick.
Kalia Davis is not the same.
Yeah.
No.
I think the other guy that's probably is I know he's a great guy. Everybody loves him. He's the greatest guy. He's the Walter Payton guy, Curtis Robinson. But I would say Curtis Robinson is going to be really challenged to make this football team because Winters and Warner and Nick Martin and Luke Gifford, you got 4 guys right there. They probably keep 5, maybe 6.
I would pencil in
other
Luke
guys.
Gifford as a lock.
You don't think so?
Papa
was talking him up like Luke Gifford's going to play from scrimmage.
Well, I mean,
that seems like a bad idea. I mean, he might be the starting Sam, but
I haven't watched Luke Gifford in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that linebacker, it's you've got Martin's going to be on the roster, Winters is going to be on the roster, and then everybody else is fighting for probably 2 spots.
Fred's going to have to fight with Bethune. I mean, it's pretty clear,
right?
I mean, Bethune, Graham, whatever. I mean, Curtis Robinson.
What about Stone Blanton, Larry? What do we think about Stone Blanton?
Yeah.
Stone Blanton's a great athlete, man. Stone Blanton was a baseball player too. He's a
I know. I saw those same highlights. That was going to be my tidbit. Shit.
But here's the thing about Stone Blanton. At the end of the day, if all you're looking for is just some, run through a wall special teams linebacker,
right?
You probably just were going to go with the cheapest one there is, and why not? I know they love Curtis Robinson. Everybody loves Curtis, but I'm just saying, if any of these other guys, any of them, Bethune, Graham, Blanton, if any of them play well at all, Gifford,
that
probably knocks Curtis out.
You could also say Cowing's a loser because they drafted a special teams only wide receiver, which was Cowing's only clear way on the roster. And then they drafted Watkins, who is immediately a better player than him, in my view.
Jair Brown's a huge winner. Ain't nobody taking Jair Brown's job now.
Yeah,
especially with Mustafa's injury. I mean, listen. I like Jair a lot as a dude. He did not show up last year.
He was awful. He was
really
awful.
This is his last chance to really prove it, and he should get a chance because the competition's real weak.
There's some guys who are absolutely under the gun here. They have to show up and they got to play. Or it's like now or never for a couple of these guys. I'll give you a few examples. Now or never for Darrell Luter.
Yes.
It's time.
Yep.
Time for Darrell Luter to show up and be what he's going to be.
If he plays well enough in camp, he could.
I mean, he could. Jake's dead, but I don't even. When you have Stout now on the roster bumping Lenore outside, I mean, it's kind of a listen. I can't say that Darrell Luter was entitled to anything, but it is kind of a brutal break because now Lenore is this depth chart that I'm looking at currently on our lads, which is the go-to source for all depth charts, has him at nickel for Lenore. He's an outside corner. He's starting over Trey Brown. He's starting over Trey Avery. He's starting over Trey Tomlinson, the Treys. He obviously start over Luter.
Are any of those guys good, by the way? If you could have one tray between Brown, Avery, and Tomlinson, I think I'm going Tomlinson.
That's fair. I'd go Brown, but
yeah.
I think Tomlinson's the best athlete, right?
Are they going to have to fight? Are they going to do like a gladiator type situation?
There can only be one tray.
Survives?
Yeah. And then he is known as Uno.
That's
nice.
Bad.
Thank you. I have 2 children. I can double down on dad jokes.
Yeah. So as far as winners, losers, I think, I'll give you another loser in this thing. Jake Moody. No, I mean, Jake Moody, because the Niners didn't find a veteran kicker, but then they're bringing in the Lou Groza Award winner to challenge him.
Who is that?
I think everybody, I think at this point, whether it's a rookie or a veteran, Jake is not going to run unopposed. He is going to run absolutely opposed. this summer, and we'll see. And that's what he needs anyway. So, is Jake the kicker, or does this Lou Groza Award winner beat him out? Or
I think I've got a great shot. I think I've got a great shot, Larry. I appreciate you asking that question. I have kicked a 50-yard field goal before with the wind at my back, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about my chances this year, and I'm putting it all faith. I'll put it all in faith.
I think I'd prefer Lou Groza himself at this point. He died in the year 2000.
Before we get out of here, a couple supers, of course. Let's hit our supers. We have 9 of them. Here we go. Sonny Desai. Kruger, 10 minutes late. Oh, man. Do we always got to keep track of this stuff? Same amount of off time John Lynch and company spent on evaluating offensive linemen for this year's draft. Oh, let's get a good dig in there. MSQ. If all the best current college football players were put on one team, no matter their graduating class, could they beat the worst NFL team as of May 1st, 2025?
If you're saying like the worst NFL team or the worst NFL players, it's a different conversation. Because if it's like
he's saying if you took an all-star game. He's saying an all-star team of college players.
Right, but I mean,
all-star team of college players, if you put them all on one team, yes. I mean, do the math. It's like, look how many first-round picks there are.
But I mean, is that against the worst, like, actually constructed NFL team, or is it the worst NFL players at each position? Because if it's that, then yeah, because like Jeremiah Smith is going to go for 300 yards against the worst NFL corner in the league.
Like, legitimately, if you did like Caden Proctor at tackle, you had Cade Klubnik at wide receiver, and Jeremiah Smith, and on the other side is Downs, I think I'd take them over the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you can take an all-star team of players.
Maybe on Terrell. CJ Allen.
Think of it this way. I mean, think whoever the worst team in football is right now. Who's the worst team in the NFL? Carolina or somebody? Who's the worst?
Cleveland.
If you took every one of the best players in this draft and you could have them on one team, yes, that's like the greatest draft in the history of the world. And yes, I would take that team over the Cleveland Browns or whatever.
I'm curious on who would coach it. Is Saban coaching, or do I have to coach it? Because that's a big difference too. Is the coaching staff part of the draft?
MSQ. You think Collins can and will be what Kinlaw was supposed to be?
Take that $199 and buy yourself a space bar, my friend.
I would say, you know what? And this is this would be a message for all Niner fans. Watch other teams and broaden your scope.
I would also say
I can't listen to one more comparison of Brock Purdy to Jimmy Garoppolo. They have nothing to do with each other.
I mean, that's insane. I would say the thing about it, it's like size-wise and pad level-wise, there's a fair comparison. But also, like, Kinlaw's number one trait was get off. Like, you were betting on get off and size and him attacking at the point of attack, whereas Alfred Collins is not like an elite get-off guy. He is power, which is a little bit different from their traditional mold. It's power, hands, translating that into force at the point of attack, holding up against double teams, that sort of thing, whereas Kinlaw was giant dude, burst off the line, go attack.
I think Kinlaw's way slower.
To be fair, Lance Zierlein did make Alfred Collins' comp on NFL.com.
I get it, because that's the
downside. He made Kinlaw his comp?
Yeah.
Well, Kinlaw is enormously strong, and I would say Kinlaw is definitely more durable. I would say if you said, what do I think? I think Kinlaw is the more durable player, and Kinlaw's proven to be pretty durable for the most part. But I would say
he's had a ton of knee issues.
Collins they both have the same issue, which is playing too high, getting their legs exposed, taking too many hits to their legs, getting hurt, not being able to play because they're hurt. I think that's the issue. As far as I think Kinlaw's stronger, but Collins definitely.
I disagree. I actually think Collins is stronger. I think Collins
has stronger hands.
Yeah,
you go tell Kinlaw that.
Kinlaw all low.
Kinlaw is actually a lovely man to talk to, by the way.
Kinlaw is so strong, strong. Yeah. I think Collins looks way faster.
Doesn't mean he was the strongest.
Yeah,
he was pretty strong, man. He was.
Collins had more pop. with his hands.
Kinlaw's legs are more like rock. They were so sturdy.
Well, that's the thing is like
Kinlaw's legs.
That's the thing.
Collins doesn't have that kind of base.
Kinlaw was built with really strong legs and a shorter torso, whereas Collins, again, as we talked about, is more evened out, which is why I have like a little bit less concern with the pad level, because Kinlaw is like fighting gravity.
Kinlaw is a gigantic, thick human being,
right.
massively strong.
You see Collins.
Collins is a basketball player. Collins' mom was a great basketball player, and Collins is built like a basketball player. And I bet you anything, Collins, if we could watch Collins, play and dribble the ball, I bet you anything he's got spin moves and all kinds of handle, because he just looks like a basketball player. He's very athletic, man. Very athletic.
Sounds awful.
Well, because he's natural. His natural weight. The other thing about Kinlaw is very tight. This guy's got a lot more looseness to him. There's a lot more. I don't know. To me, I see a much better athlete with Collins than Kinlaw. Kinlaw was a stronger man, but I think Collins a way. Well,
Kinlaw. The problem is like he was an outrageous player getting off the ball, but then his knees gave up immediately. So
he played 10 games in 2021 and 2022 combined.
But I mean, just think about, guys, look at the highlights of Collins and the way he contorts his body. Kinlaw doesn't contort his body. Kinlaw comes up out of his stance and just is like,
we know.
He takes guys on, he'll twist, he'll turn it, but he doesn't. Collins has got little man body moves. Like, he'll do stuff. He's got wiggle and stuff. Collins is an athlete.
I wasn't saying
Collins a jumbo athlete.
Lance Zierlein was right. I was just saying that he made that comparison. I don't think he was right.
Collins reminds me of somebody. I just can't think who it is. He reminds me of some like he seems like the 2025 version of like one of the guys from the Steel Curtain, like LC Greenwood or something. He just seems like a guy who's like just a big athletic dude who's a great athlete, and he looks like he wants to just kick ass out there. That's the way he plays the game. He throws guys down, and he plays with a lot of force, and he pile drives guys into the turf. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what kind of disposition he has. I'm eager to talk to him this summer.
Kind of like a young Calais Campbell.
Yeah, like a young Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is that's a good one. Who had a great draft in your mind? If we said, you know what, this team, it's just like, I absolutely think, if I said to you, give me
Arizona,
the 2 or 3 best drafts in your mind.
Arizona, Philly,
Who are you nominating? We'll all nominate one.
Arizona. I'll go with Arizona.
Yeah. Well, I said that one, so take it.
Okay, fine. I'll go Philly.
Go ahead? What do you tell me? Whoever wants to go with Arizona, Philly, go make your argument. What'd you like about Philly's draft?
I mean, Jake, talk Arizona for a second. They got Nolan at 16. That's a good start.
Yeah, they got Nolan at 16. They also got a linebacker who I really loved in Cody Simon. After that, I thought Arizona's draft overall, they got pretty good value. They went Nolan. They went Will Johnson. Jordan Birch, who's like, again, like sort of a tweener, but is really strong and has a lot of size where you can, sort of play him at 3-4 edge. There's like some flexibility there. I think Simon's a really good linebacker. I'm not a huge fan of Burke. He was pretty stiff, but like guy who produced at Ohio State at 174 was good. I loved Hayden Connor. They got him at 211 out of Texas. He's a mauler, a dude with like no neck whatsoever, but wears a neck roll. He was awesome at Texas. And then whatever, they drafted Keaton Crawford, but like getting Walter Nolan and then Will Johnson, Simon and Connor, and guys who produced at like the best schools in college football, pretty good bets.
I mean, the Eagles did what the Eagles do every year. Jake and I don't see necessarily eye to eye on Jihad Campbell. He's lower than I am. I'm not that high on him. 31's probably a bit of a reach for me, but this is a team that's a draft for need for the Eagles, given what's going on with Nakobe Dean, and they sort of went in the opposite direction, right? A bigger guy, even though they took all of our guys. I mean, Makuba in the second round is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. I'm not a big Ty Robinson guy, but I understand why you would take him in the 4th round with that kind of athletic explosion. Mac McWilliams was the best nickel in this draft. They took him at 145. Smile Mondon is a wonderful, just an absolutely wonderful lottery ticket at 161.
Injury concerns and like some off-field racing stuff, but like in terms of like he's like a giant nickel. Like he's got insane coverage ability and athleticism.
He's fantastic. So, like, between Campbell and Mondon, you're getting one. They get Drew Kendall, who was the best center in this draft, in Jake and I's opinion. And then Kyle McCord, who, like, if you cut him, who gives a damn? But you get a backup quarterback. I mean, he's probably going to be better than, what's his name from Pitt back in the day, went 19th overall in the 22 draft. Miles Hinton is a solid enough offensive lineman. You like going to that program at Michigan. They produce him. Cameron Williams at 207. What? Like, how is he there? And then a guy that I've liked and I thought was a really good option in the 200s for a couple of months now, and Antoine Powell-Ryland at 209 out of Virginia Tech. I always like something there. And then, Jake, get this. It gets even better, buddy. They go out and they get your guy Maxon Hook as a safety out of Toledo as an undrafted free agent, and then they get one of my favorite players in the entire draft in Holland Pierce, and it's like, Howie did it again, baby. He did it again.
One team I'll also mention, I did like Commanders, like Josh Conerly. You know, there's some miss there, but I also think like he's a pretty sharp player who will learn. Trey Amos was like my favorite corner in the draft at 61. Jalen Lane has some inconsistencies, but like a decent enough bet on traits. And then they get Kane Medrano at 205 and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at 245, who like I liked more than Jordan James. Like,
can we throw Seattle in here too? I mean, there's a little bit of reach in all of this, but Zabel at 18, he's going to play guard, center, or tackle for you day one. He's got a starting job day one. He had a very high floor. I'm a big Zabel guy, mainly because he might be my long-lost brother. Nick Emanwari at 35 in a Mike McDonald defense. Like, how can you let this happen? If he's going to work anywhere, he's going to work for that guy. Can't even hear Larry. I don't know. I think Larry's on mute. I'm not a big Arroyo guy. I don't mind taking Milrow at 92. Riley Mills at 142 is a criminal offense that he was there at 142. Torrey Horton at 166 is a great pick. Damian Martinez at 223. Ricky White at 238. These are great picks. I liked what Seattle did.
And then not only that, I think Seattle, in addition, didn't Seattle get an undrafted player that was pretty damn good? Let me see. I think Seattle got an undrafted player that was good.
Yeah. Oh, Jared Ivey out of Ole Miss. Zy Alexander.
Yeah, they got Jared Ivey. Jared Ivey. I mean, to me, that's a 285-pound, defensive end with some wiggle. That's a great one. And then for them to also get Zy Alexander, the corner, undrafted. They also got the UNLV linebacker, Jackson Woodard, undrafted. I thought those were really, really good undrafted players. I thought they got one more too.
The Chiefs too, man.
Oh,
Simmons at 32, and then Norman Lott. I don't know about Galat, but I get it. Noel Williams at 85, and then Jalen Royals at like 133, and then Brashard Smith late. Like,
now the Chiefs. To me, I was gonna say the Chiefs. I mean, Josh Simmons, Omar Norman Lott, Ashton Gelati, Noel Williams, Jalen Royals, Jeffrey Bassa, and Brashard Smith. I mean, come on. That's an awesome draft right there. I mean, that they didn't miss one time. I thought the Chiefs.
But
what's that?
They also got four.
They also after the draft they got Elijah Badger.
Yeah,
they got Elijah Badger after the draft.
Brandon George, Essa Pole, and Jake Briningstool. Who listen? I wasn't the biggest guy on Pole and Briningstool, but like they were draftable.
Yep.
Badger.
So I thought
Badger's going to be a dude.
Chiefs did great. I thought the Ravens did great. I mean, Malachi Starks and then Mike Green, Emory Jones, Teddy Buchanan, Carson Vincent, Bilal Kone. They got your guy, Jake, LeJontay Wester.
Yeah.
They got Aeneas Peebles in the 6th round. They got Garrett Bellinger in the 7th round. They got my guy Chandler Martin undrafted. The Ravens, Eric DaCosta is just a phenomenal general manager. He always takes it as it comes.
They don't overthink it, man. They don't go, who's our guy?
Like they don't. They always get good players and they get good value. And they just, they're an amazing organization. Yeah, they got Chandler Martin after the draft. They got my guy Nash Hutmacher after the draft. Those are two nice additions. Hutmacher is a big, strong nose guard. Chandler Martin's going to play in the NFL, man. He's going to play in the NFL. So
I'm going to say a sentence that I never thought I'd say in my life. I kind of like what the Raiders did in the draft.
Oh, yeah. The Raiders had a great draft.
Like Genty at 6. Okay. The Genty conversation's over. He fills an immediate need for them. He's their guy. He's a
stud. He's an awesome running back.
Agreed. I wouldn't have taken him at 6. It's over now.
Yeah.
Beach at 58. Okay. All of these picks.
He's a good receiver, man. He's a good, solid receiver.
He's good.
He doesn't run
Porter
deep
at 68.
routes.
Don't like it. But you know
like Porter? Jeff loved Porter. He's a jumbo. I'll say this about Porter. Supposedly the Niners really liked him. This guy is an awesome athlete with length and size. Now he's a projection as a corner.
He's also got pushed around more than any other.
That's a great
corner.
Call. He's a lot like
got pushed around like soft. So I have some concerns there. But if you're betting on traits, I totally get it. He is an elite athlete.
But look what they did after that. Caleb Rogers was probably too early, but Charles Grant's a stud. Dante Thornton's the deep threat. Tonka Hemingway's a phenomenal one-gap penetrator passer.
Favorite South Carolina defensive tackle.
And then Pegues is a nice pick. I kind of think Cam Miller's kind of interesting. Mellett is obviously a quarterback, but he's he's going to play, he's a 4-3 athlete. So they're taking a look at him. That's probably going to be a bad pick.
Taking some good roulette wheel spins, that I completely bet on.
The Mellett and Miller picks at 213 and 215. Those are Chip Kelly picks. And it's you know what, man? Empower, as much as I was going in, if you want to empower your coaches, empower them at pick 200, where it's if I cut them, I don't care. But go do something weird and interesting. Why not? Because you don't want to have to fight for these guys as undrafted free agents where 7 other teams are calling. Just bring them in. And if you cut them, no love lost. I would prefer not to do that at 75, more 215. But he could draw up something really cool and fun with that. And when you have Genty and when you have Gino, I think that the Raiders might be on the right path here. It's
2 more teams that I really liked. I liked what the Chargers did.
Always.
The Chargers, think about it. If you're Herbert, you're watching that. You got Amarion
men.
You got Amarion,
full-grown men.
Amarion Hampton. Okay, he's a great running back. Then you get Trey Harris. You get a great receiver.
Yep.
You get some help for your D-line and Caldwell and Kennard. And then you get another downfield burner in Keandre Lambert-Smith. You get another vertical threat in Aronde Gadsden. Yeah. I don't even care at all about their last 3 picks if those guys live or die.
Trey Harris is going to be so good for them, man.
Their first 5 picks are really – their first 6 picks are really good.
Hampton, you know exactly what you're getting.
Right.
Fantastic there. Immediate fantasy player. Kennard at 125 is so Chargers at fucking an adult man. They just went out and drafted men because that's what Jim Harbaugh does. He doesn't play with boys and all these kids and all this shit. Not. Sorry, weird sentence. But he doesn't, he's not here to, guide you on your path to being a man. He wants full-grown men to play professional football. That's all he got. Right? Aronde Gadsden, all he does is pluck the ball out of the air, and his dad was a pro for 10 flipping years. He knows what it's going to take to be in a facility. The Chargers know what they're about. They always draft well, and they draft to what they're about. They never break from their fundamental focus. They're going to be even better. They always draft well. It doesn't matter what the grades are. They know what they're about.
The last one that I really loved, and I thought this team did exceptionally well. Because when I look deeper into their picks, I really like a lot of their picks and the methodology. I like what New England did. So New England gets Will Campbell. New England gets Travion Henderson. They got Kyle Williams, a receiver that a lot of people liked. They got, I thought, the biggest and best center in the Georgia kid, Jared Wilson.
And then you weren't as high, Dieter?
He's very, very good. He's very good.
but then I thought they also kind of made out because they got some really good underrated offensive undrafted guys. Ben Woolridge from Woodside. That guy's not bad. He was at the Niners local pro day. He's pretty good. Efton Chisholm III from Eastern Washington. He didn't run a great 40 time. That guy's quick as hell. He's is snappy. Really, that's a guy really that guy's good. CJ Dupre and G Scott, I thought were really nice, big school, great I like athlete. G Scott. I do too. G Scott's a good tight end, and Dupre is a very underrated athlete.
He doesn't know how to use his body, but he's. But I mean,
they got two good tight end prospects as undrafted. They got Lan Larison from UC Davis, who I'm telling you, a lot of people think Larison's real. And then on the defensive side, Joshua Farmer in the 4th round, Craig Woodson from Cal, I thought is a really smooth safety. Braden Swinson from LSU is a really interesting edge rusher. And then Elijah Ponder, the Cal Poly kid, that guy's 260 and fast. They also got Borregales as a kicker. So I don't know. I mean, I think New England went out in free agency, brought in, Garrett Bradbury, Morgan Moses, Mac Holland, Stephon Diggs. They brought Dobbs in from the Niners. Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Spillane, Carlton Davis.
Yes.
They brought in some free agents, but they needed a big time draft, and I thought they got some really nice players.
I mean, obviously they did well in the draft. They used pick 251 on long snapper Julian Ashby out of Vanderbilt. I mean, how is that not the highlight?
He's actually number 2 on my long snapper list. But
did you like the kid from Colorado School of Mines better? Because I did.
Schlumpkin, yeah, he was a stellar player.
You think I'm kidding? There's actually a long snapper from the Colorado School of Mines who was pretty sick. That boy could snap it. Also,
I was just sad this week seeing Tabor Pepper tweet out that he was saying goodbye to his apartment in the South Bay.
He's living in the same apartment we all are.
He's looking for a gig. I don't think he's got a gig, right?
Well.
No, long snapper.
We had a long conversation about Shador and being the loud backup quarterback. What's it when you're the loud long snapper?
Yeah.
Not great.
Exactly.
Not great. I got an idea, Tabor. Listen, easy for me to say, but maybe don't tweet. Just a thought.
Yeah. Overall, guys, what would you say? Do you have a favorite pick in the draft? One player to one team that you think of?
Ooh, I need to look at the full board here, Larry. Do you have one in mind?
I'll give, yeah.
Well, go ahead, Peter. One. If you got one. I mean, I could always go with one.
How about Michael Williams to the San Francisco 49ers?
I was going to say, I genuinely.
Yeah.
Or CJ West. Fit. Legitimately, those are 2 A+ picks.
I mean, I love the CJ West pick for sure.
I like genuinely Michael's very high on that list for me. Amos to Washington, I think is stellar. Trey Harris, I really like him for the Chargers. I think he's going to do a lot for them.
I'll give you 3 real fast.
Go ahead. What do you got?
I think Emanwari to Seattle. If it's ever going to work for Emanwari, that's the spot it's going to work. I really like. I had him here. I think Luther Burden to Chicago is clutch. I think that's something that they really needed. Some more dynamism on.
Did you see Ben Johnson talking about him? He was basically fully erect, which I completely understand.
And then Travion Henderson to New England. Vrabel's gonna eat this guy up. He's gonna. I mean, probably in a bad way, but that's pretty good.
I would not be shocked if he is the most productive running back in this class.
I want to give you one more pick that I really thought was swept under the rug, and it's a contextual thing. So Minnesota was at 24, and the entire league knew that Minnesota wanted to trade out of 24 because they only had 4 picks in that draft, and they needed to just build up some more capital. But Donovan Jackson, who was the best guard in this draft, falls to them at 24. And instead of saying, oh, well, we need to care about our pick and we need to get more picks later, they just go, oh, you're going to gift us the best guard in this draft at 24? Yeah. Let's just take him and we'll figure it out later.
Awesome.
And they took him, and he's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I love Donovan Jackson in that spot.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that you do. I mean, Josh Simmons at 32 is pretty good too. It's Larry talking into the void.
I was going to say the picks that stood out to me: Jedi Barron to Denver. That's a great one. You got Surtain on the other side, and now you got Jedi Barron. I mean, come on.
They had a weird draft, man. That's a great. They got Barron, who's awesome, and then I like Harvey, and then they went insane with Pat Bryant 74. But the rest of it, I kind of like.
Yeah, to me that's a really great pick. I think that was a fantastic one. The other pick that I really like is Quinn Ewers to Miami in the 7th round. Something tells me that that's going to wind up being something. I don't know. I mean, I know Quinn Ewers looked really bad in this draft process, but seems like Miami, maybe he'll find himself. I definitely think another interesting pick was the fact that Jacksonville made the big move for the two-way player Travis Hunter. I mean, Travis Hunter is just he's just a very special player, and I just don't know exactly how that thing's going to come together, what kind of career he's going to have. But I mean, we do a lot of drafts, but we don't see a lot of Travis Hunters. Let's just say that. I think he's really, really special. I also felt like the pick of Connerly to be the blindside protector for the quarterback there,
especially for a mobile quarterback where you kind of need a tackle who can adapt on the fly. I think that's going to be nice.
Daniels is going to love Connerly. I think that was a really, really great pick. And then if there was one other, who was the? You mentioned Donovan Jackson.
Kansas City's criminal. I can't believe that was allowed to happen in general. How about Tyler Shugg to New Orleans?
Tyler Shugg to New Orleans is interesting for sure.
Vernon Broughton to New Orleans.
Yeah, the Saints actually had kind of a sneaky good draft save for the whole Banks pick.
I thought the pick that I think is going to be an awesome pick is Jalen Noel to Stroud. I mean, you're giving Stroud Jalen Noel.
Well, they just drafted both of them because they're like, we actually can't tell which one's better. So let's take
fair. A legit concern.
Yeah, I think Jalen Noel, I think is going to be really, really
and
good.
I know I said this earlier, but again, the entire NFL allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to get Andrew Makuba with pick 64, and that was really, really stupid, everybody. Let's get together and do better next year because Makuba's the dude, and the Eagles didn't need him.
Let's hit the rest of these supers. MSQ says Niners trading up for
Michael Williams.
Michael Williams is like Sonny trading up for Vontae
Mack in draft day.
I gotcha. Vontae Mack, no matter what. Bay Area, sad too. That's one of my favorite actors, and he's no longer with us. Bay Area, lots of strong opinions on this podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing who was right and wrong and who really knows their ball.
You don't need to wait. You already know.
N Patio 63. Love you, Larry. Peace. Finally caught a live show. Thank you, sir. To Big 25. Nobody reaches more than the 49ers in the draft.
And yet they only get short-armed guys. It's weird.
Lorem Lipsum says, there you go. Super sticker. The Big should have promoted Peters and given Lynch another position in the front office. Shanahan needs to just be a head coach and stop being a general manager.
He's not really being a GM for the most part, but sometimes he does meddle and it gets weird.
Yeah.
Claudaddy Arcade says, thanks for all the draft content, mocks, and guides, fellas. Made the process enjoyable.
It wasn't enjoyable for us, Claudaddy Arcades. It was
a bad time.
We loved it.
Silence says, Cohn will go tell Kinlaw that he was too soft. That might not be a good move.
And Grant Cohn are going toe for toe on who can make more money this offseason.
Claudaddy Arcades. Hutch. Roseman grabbed your guy, Max Hook, and his 100-plus tackles. Also snagged Holland Pierce post-draft. Niners should have taken a flyer on Conyers as a UDFA. I agree with that one, too.
No doubt about that.
Very surprising. Very surprising.
I'm surprised he went undrafted.
There's got to be something we didn't know on that.
For sure. Maybe there's a medical thing. And if he's terrible, I'll point it out. I'll admit it.
Yeah,
but I think he's going to be an NFL player.
No harm, no foul.
Final thoughts before we get out of here, guys. I know you guys put a lot of man hours into this draft and a lot of man hours into the draft guide. We should tell people, if you want to get a hold of Jake and Dieter's draft guide, you just follow them on YouTube. That's it.
Go to our channel, click the join button. And what we're putting together, it should be done next week. Just the 49ers draft picks, including their undrafted free agents, as an addendum to the draft guide. So if you got the draft guide and you're like, well, I wanted to know more about the 49ers picks, it's coming next week. So you'll get that. And that's all for people who subscribe as an official sicko. And also follow me, the Hutch Report. Follow me on the Hutch Report and on my Substack, and also go read my latest for SF Gate.
What's left for the Niners to do? Will they make a trade in the springtime?
Safety.
Is there a veteran spot? Like, we were going through this, Chase Senior and I were going through, like, guys that we might want to see them add. And I forget exactly who he was going with, but I was saying, like an edge rusher would be great. Like a veteran edge rusher, that's always nice. Asante Samuel would be nice. Gerald Everett, I think, would be nice. I mean, I think they're really barren at tight end. He threw out, I think, Justin Simmons, if they could get Simmons. I threw out, that I think that the Packers are probably going to trade Romeo Doubs at some point. I would definitely be in line for Romeo Doubs when the Packers, or any of their receivers, once they're getting ready to dump them, because they just added 2 more receivers and they already have a deep cachet of receivers.
I would look at safety. I think they are really, really ugly. I know they picked up a bunch of absolute middling at best safeties to play special teams and sort of compete, but I would think late window they sniff around there. Maybe Justin Simmons, he's 32. Jordan Whitehead played for Robert Saleh with the Jets, didn't quite go how they wanted. Quandre Diggs is still out there. And Julian Blackmon's the guy they sniffed around. I think it was last cycle.
They did.
He is a free agent. So late cycle, consider it. Marcus May is also out there. There's Chuck Clark. I think Jordan Poyer's available.
So
there's
Clark.
Yeah.
Chuck Clark played for Saleh last year, right? So he knows the scheme.
Yep.
It's going to be Clark.
You think it'll be Clark?
That feels right for like $2 million.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Simmons has never really been in the cover 3. He's been mostly 2 highs. Like a Rayshon Jenkins isn't really available.
Jackrabbit? No, and that's not Jackrabbit. It's a different Jenkins.
Whitehead is a 2 high. Blackmon isn't really capable of playing single high anymore. Like, Quandre Diggs would be interesting, and Chuck Clark as a box safety in that. Jordan Poyer as well. I believe Jordan Poyer, he's played in a cover 1 or cover 3 system before, so he's an option, though. I think a little bit more tread on the tires, all things considered, I think.
What do you think Green Bay is going to want for Romeo Doubs?
Nothing that the 49ers can offer him, because there's no way they're trading him to San Francisco.
Yeah,
probably.
But
not.
I would think they're going to ask for a 4th.
Yeah,
would be
higher.
My gut. Yeah,
I think he's a gettable guy for sure for somebody.
If you want to get somebody from the Green Bay Packers, Larry, may I suggest my favorite player,
Devondre Campbell?
I'm a big fan of Bo Melton.
Yeah, Bo Melton. Yeah, Bo Melton could get cut. There's no question he could get cut. They got a lot of guys. They got a lot of guys for sure. Bo Melton would be nice. Yeah, that would be
enough of him. My favorite guy.
Could probably get him for nothing. All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks to Dieter. Thanks to Jake. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to our sponsors, LearnKey and Clawdaddy Arcades. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to all of you. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. streaming with Damon Bruce tomorrow at 9. Guys, anything you got going tomorrow you want to promote?
Yeah, we'll have a video.
Yeah, we got a video coming out tomorrow on the undrafted free agents. Again, you can get our draft guide, and the addendum will be out next week. And follow me on the Hutch Report. I am writing columns, and I'm going to have some good stuff as the summer rolls on.
For Jake and Dieter, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful.